a Bible, turn with me in your Bibles to the book of Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6. We're going to put it up there. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. So that is literally one of the most famous scriptures in the world. The word trust means to rely, to have confidence in, to hope, and to have certainty. I want you to hear this. Last night I flew back from New York, and I fly sometimes, and I noticed that I've never asked to see who the pilot is. By faith, I just got in my seat. Lift your hands. There could have been gorillas up there. But because I've flown close to 4 million miles on American Airlines, I just go take my seat, right? Get in my good mood and get ready for somebody to fly me. But last week, I had to go somewhere else during the weekdays, and we had a really bad landing. I mean, one of the worst in the history of landings. For real. They were going vooved and vooved and vooved and vooved and vooved and vooved and vooved. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I waited to see who was going to come out. And I gave him a dirty look. I'm just telling you what happened. So now, I don't know how trusting I'm going to be of every pilot. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. We're talking about divine direction. So, think about this. 4 steps to divine direction. Number 1, if you're heading somewhere, first you better stop and really know that you have the right directions. Secondly, you need to evaluate, which means to assess, to weigh, to check, to estimate, calculate the route that you're going to take. How many thank God for things like Waze now? Come on, people. I remember when it first came out, I was telling one of my assistants, I ain't into that. I'm going to tell you. For divine direction, you need to stop. Say stop. Evaluate. Then number 3, you need to check. You need to check your motives for where you want to go. I think a lot of times that the reason our desires are not fulfilled so quickly is because they're really not the best desires. I was listening to my friend Brendan Burchard. He's really good at what he does. And he did a video on social media about how important it is not to sleep with your cell phone right next to you. He says, because you'll be tempted, watch, to get it and get on social media and start scrolling, and images will pop at you. And you'll be like, oh, they're in France. Oh, they're in Rome. Oh, she's got somebody hot. Come on, somebody. And Brendan Burchard said something interesting. He says, what you're doing is you're putting all these people's lives in your mind, and you might start thinking, maybe I need to start heading in these directions. Maybe I'm a little bit behind, and I like that. So you need to stop, you need to evaluate, and you need to check your motives for what you're thinking about accomplishing this year. And then you need to be open to divine opportunities. You know what's going to happen to some of you this year? It's going to be weird. Divine doors are going to open. I was meeting with Random House in New York. They're a big book publishing company, and this is a cute story. Christina, your name's about to be mentioned. Because my agent, who's a good agent, who sold my last book to Random House, was bragging about me and Oprah. And he's in Oprah's book, and he's doing a new project with Oprah in September, which I am. And then, but they had 5 people from Random House, but they said, and one of the lady who was running everything goes, oh, but I just saw him on Christina on the Coast. So Christina an aunt. They had their marriage, and it was on her show on HGTV. And so this person's bragging about Oprah. They silence him and start talking about Christina. You know what that is? That is a divine door that opened for me. Because by them seeing that I'm out and about doing things, my agents didn't have to play agents for too long. They were liking that Tim Storey was out there moving. So watch this. So trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. When you are walking in divine direction, I say in my notes, that will bring divine opportunities. Okay, you're going to get really happy if you really got that. Say, divine direction brings divine opportunities. Okay, say that again. Say, divine direction brings divine opportunities. See, watch. Just because everybody else is going through something doesn't mean you'll go through that same something. Because maybe they're not listening to divine direction. I remember one person said to a friend of mine, how are you doing in the midst of the recession? And my friend said, well, I decided not to participate in this one. See, I think that you could have divine favor, that according to the Bible, that everywhere your feet walk, you have favor. So, coming back from Long Beach Airport, I was driving with this man who said he was originally from Vietnam, and he was telling me that he had worked from 7 in the morning until the time that he picked me up, which was at night. So we're driving back to my place, and I said, so what are you going to do now? Hopefully you're going to just drop me off. And he says, no, I'm going to go back because there's one more flight coming in to Long Beach, and I'm going to go try to get some people on that flight. I said, you know what? I'm going to just tell you something. I said, I don't know if you're into God or anything. I said, but you're tired. He goes, I'm exhausted. I said, do you have children? He goes, yeah, that's why I have to work so hard. I said, I'm going to take a little pressure off you. I said, because if you will go home, I'm going to give you a $100 tip. But then I'm going to pray for you that you have peace. And I said, I'm going to tell you another thing. It's not just in how fast you move your feet. It's how big your strides are. He said, I've never heard this in my life. I said, you're moving your feet too doggone fast. But I didn't say doggone. I said something else. I said, you're moving your feet too fast. I said, you can't work from 7 in the morning to close to 11 o'clock at night and think you're going to have a good life. I said, you're not going to move like this anymore. I said, God's going to give you insight and you're going to start making big strides. I'm telling you, get ready to stride in August. It's powerful stuff, right? Proverbs 13:12 in the Message Bible says, unrelenting disappointment leaves you heart sick, but a sudden good break. The word good there literally means a God kind of break. A God level break. When you're in God's divine direction, I'm trying to tell you, you're going to have God's divine protection. You're going to have God's divine administration. You're going to have people that look out for you that you wonder why they're blessing you. Okay? But you're also going to get God-sized breaks. You take a little child into a toy store. How many of you remember when Toys R Us were really popular? If you take a little child into Toys R Us, I guarantee you, if it's a little girl, they do not want just a Barbie. They want the whole house. Come on, is that true? It's like, you go like, here's your Barbie. You're like, but what about the house, Uncle Tim? There's a house. It comes with a house. Come on, people. and you can get a bike. You get a bike, a Barbie bike too. Uncle Tim, you're rich. This happened to me before. You could get the house, and there's a bike you could buy over there, a Barbie bike. So little kids don't come into Toys R Us thinking small. In fact, little kids, if they were going to Toys R Us, they walk with like swag, like what? Come on, aisle 13, they're in their minds, they're like things they're gonna pick out. Why don't you start thinking with that kind of swag? Because you got a God who's divine that's about to bless you with God-sized things. Very powerful. God levels of good. What's going to happen to your life in August? God levels of good. Some of you, your life's going to be so good, it's going to get weird. God levels of good. A sudden good break. God's standard of good. Oh, this is so good. I stayed at a hotel in New York, and the Uber driver that took me from my hotel to the airport said to me, for some reason you look familiar. And so we were just chatting. He thought I was an old baseball player. from the Dominican Republic. It's true. I just tell you the stories as they go. And I go, no, I'm not him. And he said, why didn't you stay at the other hotel that's next to you? He goes, I see your bag, I see your style. He goes, why did you stay there? I said, well, I like where I stayed. He goes, no, but next door, woo! He goes, you were just one building away. This is good teaching. See, I was staying one place thinking like, hey, but Aaron, one building. See, some of you, on your own, you can do really good stuff. But if you let God open up divine doors, he's going to take you one building away. Clap your hands like you just caught that. Carrie, is that good stuff or what? Come on, people. That's where I want to go. I want to go one building away. Take me. Hey, so guess what I'm going to say next time? One building away. What? How come? Because I want to. A sudden God kind of break. God's standard of break. A break is an opportunity. Okay, just listen to me. If you're walking in a common mind, expect common things. It's Tim's story. If you're walking in a miracle mindset, expect your life to go to places that others do not go. This is from my new book. A miracle mindset is your VIP pass to anywhere. Did you hear what I said? Some of you are going to go to such high levels in 2020, 21, 22, 23. Randy, you buying into this? A miracle mindset. Let me come over here. A miracle mindset. Look at me. A miracle mindset. A supernatural, extraordinary way of thinking, a divine way of thinking is your VIP pass to anywhere. Clap your hands like you actually buy into this. Now, where you can take yourself is awesome, I'm sure. Mostly with all your swag and all your, waking up early and beating the sun up and being on your grind. Power walking. But could you imagine if you would let the divine, if you would trust in the Lord with all your heart. So I found out about God. It's kind of cool. He's got like this system. In Isaiah 48, verse 3 in the Message Bible, it says, for a long time now, I've let you in on my way that I work. In the Message Bible, it's more like plain English. I told you what I was going to do beforehand. Have you ever felt something was going to happen good for you before it happened, and then it really happened? You better lift your hands or you are lying in the school. Let me say that again. How many of you have ever felt something good was going to happen to you, and it actually happened? Come on. So the Bible says God will tell you what he's going to do beforehand. See, the Bible says that because of a relationship with God, that he will tell you many times what he's going to do beforehand. And then it says, and then I will do what I told you, just as I said. So guess what's going to happen to you in August? Just as he said. September, just as he said. October, just as he said. November, just as he said. December, just as he. So if I want to get in on the just as he said, I better find out what he said. Do I want to be like the taxi driver? Like this, look. 7 a.m., every day I'm hustling. He was going to go back to the airport again. And he said this, he says, I am not a religious man. He says, but when you prayed, I felt God. I said, that was the idea. He says, I'm going to listen to you. I didn't tell him what I did for a living or anything. He goes, I'm going to listen to you, man of God. I'm going to listen. I said, just ask God. Ask God for favor. Ask God for direction. Ask God to just talk to people. Ask God to open divine doors. It's good teaching, huh? So God has a style, a mode of action, an approach, a habit. He has a technique. He'll tell you, he'll show you, and usually it's in your gut. Hey? And you think it was just a New Year's resolution. I'm with my girls. 2019 is going to be crazy. Thank God you got rid of that person. Come on, somebody. Okay, so then you come off that. Around January 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, step in. So I did this little research to find this out. And Carrie, they say that over 85% of New Year's resolutions people make, look at me, never happen. Probably because you were under the influence. Come on, people. But good ideas may come to pass, but God ideas, they must come to pass. When God puts a certainly in your spirit, it will happen every time. Clap your hands, even if it takes you a minute to get there. Say this, say God has his style. He has a style, a mode, an approach, a habit, a technique. And part of his style is telling you, and then watch, backing up what he told you. But one way he does it is through sudden good breaks. Over 200 times in the Bible, it uses the word suddenly and suddenly and suddenly and suddenly. See, some of you, and I like you being planners because I'm a life coach, some of you are such planners that you're not open to the suddenly. Some of you are going to get suddenly way out of debt, and that's going to throw you off. Suddenly, you're going to get happy, and you won't be as grumpy as you've been. Suddenly, you can get new opportunities. Suddenly, doors can open that have been closed for years. Suddenly, your body can feel better. Suddenly, your mind can feel better. Suddenly, you could have joy that you've never had before. Suddenly. Somebody say suddenly. A sudden good break can turn your life around. The word to turn there means can reposition your life. Some of you in 2019 by the end, you are being repositioned to get to the next building. It's like my stay in New York. Look, you were one, it was a good hotel, but you were one building, some of you, it's already happened to you. You were one building away, and now, and you're like, hey. But you have to be open to divine doors. Well, what's stopping me, Tim Storey? I think sometimes that we're so beat down by things that are going on in our life. And then another thing that happens to us is that we become so distracted. And that's what Brendan Burchard was saying. I'm just going to teach 5 more minutes. You guys can handle this. Brendan Burchard was talking about this distraction that takes place, and so much of it is our phone. How many of you would admit sometimes you have a bit of a phone addiction. Lift your hands if you do, because we want to pray for you probably next week. Right? So it's a fact that as you're scrolling, the images are doing something to you. Like, come on, how come I can't sleep? I need to scroll some more. Oh my God, that doesn't look like her. She's using filters. God is going to say what he's going to do, then he's going to do it. And then we need to cooperate and quit being so distracted by all the stuff. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding, Tim Storey. In all your ways, acknowledge him. Remember, my agent had the power move. He's in Oprah's book, and he's doing another project with Oprah in September. And they said, that's good, but I just saw him doing a marriage. What is that? That is a suddenly, that is a door, that is a break that you did not expect. That's a break that the agents weren't thinking about. You pay attention to what I'm saying. It's not just because she's sitting here that I'm saying I was going to use it anyway. Listen to this. You got to pay attention to the break. Sometimes, as you've heard me say through the years, you get a break, but you got to go through the break, which is called a breakthrough. It's not a break sit or a break stand. It's a breakthrough. Clap your hands. Come through the break. I like you guys today. Can I give you one illustration for 3 minutes? How many of you feel like you're learning today? Wait till next week. I'm just warming up. So listen to this. I'm going to say something about healing, even though that scares some of you people. I was at a church in Texas several years ago, and I was just done speaking. But they had rolled in a lady in a wheelchair that could not stand up for 2 years. And the doctors didn't know why her legs would not work correctly. She had all kinds of tests. Her legs would not work correctly. And they had heard that this guy, Tim Storey, prayed for people. But that particular service, I was not going to do it. I just spoke, and I was going to go through the exit sign. And I started going through the exit sign, and all of a sudden, I heard a young boy yell at me, and we found out later that he was only 9 years of age. And he says, "Hey, Tim Storey." He says, "What about my mom?" I was going through the exit sign at a big church, and he yelled. So I looked at him. I said, "What?" He goes, "What about my mom?" I said, "Where's your mom?" He said, "Right here." I said, "Well, what does she need?" And he goes, "Ask my mom." So I said, "Well, miss, what do you need?" "Well, she's in a wheelchair." She said, "Well, he must have overheard us. We saw you at another church, and you were praying for people, and people were really getting healed. And so we said, we're going to go to the Tim Storey meeting at this church to believe that God will touch me, and I'll be healed." Now, I don't heal people, but there is a God that does. How many know that God's a healer? Man is not the healer. God is a healer. And so I have faith in healing. So I said, well, bring everybody to the back. So it was the husband who had a nickname Candy. He was Candelaria, Latin guy, and he was in the construction business because I stayed in touch with this family, watch. And then the lady's name is Erlinda, and then they had the little son. And so I brought them all in the back. You got to hear this story. You got to remember, when she's tried to stand up, her legs were like noodles. She'd go right down for 2 years. And I said, "Erlinda," I said, "because of this little rascal," I'm not teasing. I said, "I think something's about to happen to you." And I said, I wouldn't try to hype you up if I was lying. I said, "I'm not a healer, but God is, and we're going to ask God to heal you." Are you ready for this story? And I said, "Erlinda, but first tell me why you want to get healed so bad." And here's what she said. She goes, "Because I want to feel like myself. I don't want to be in this situation. I want to be able to to stand-up cooking. And she began to tell me the different things, okay? And all of a sudden, listen to this. I said, everybody put your hand on her so no one would think it was a Tim Storey magic. And we prayed for her, and I tell you before God, her legs just started shaking. Her legs started shaking. And this was written in the newspaper, and the article is at my mother's house. And it says, walk of faith, because they later in the newspaper showed her going down the street walking. A lady who could not walk for 2 years comes to see a speaker and miraculously gets healed. Now, what are you trying to say? Well, that was her divine door. Your divine door may be hope or faith or finances. Come on. Or relationship or your child. But her divine door, she wanted to be healed. So we all prayed. The power of God hit her. Her legs started shaking, and I freaked out myself. And her husband, Candy, hit the floor. He's a Catholic, and so he got real Catholic on me. No, really, because it was so powerful. He went down and was speaking in Spanish, and he got nervous because she got up. No, her legs started shaking, and she got up. No, it's going to get weirder. See, I told you I'm going to freak you guys out on purpose. Because then her legs went wobbly like this. Aaron, watch. And then she started walking. Look, and then she started strutting. And then here's what she said. She says, I'm back. Clap your hands like God's very powerful. So this is a fact about God. 85% of people in the world believe in miracles. Some don't know where they come from. They call it maybe the universe or somewhere else. But the God that you serve is a supernatural, miracle-working, divine door-opening God that's about to take your life to a whole other level. I'm done speaking. Clap your hands if you learned anything.
Today's message was outstanding, and I'm sure it has touched you in some way. I am here, and I would love to pray with you. If God has touched you, you can receive Christ in your life today. And I'd love to pray with you. Just repeat after me. Say, Jesus, come into my life, anew and afresh. Restore my life. Forgive me from all unrighteousness. He is so faithful to everyone who prays. The Bible promises that those that cry out to him are those that pray. It is 100% that he will turn no one away. If you have said that prayer today, we would like for you to press the link and fill out the I want to follow Jesus card. So many people has asked me as a pastor, how do I get involved? Well, you can get involved with the online campus by partnering with us. So you can give your tithe and offering online by pressing the link below, and you'll find the donation card. So God bless you. We will keep you in prayer. Keep us in prayer. God is a mighty God.